I wish transparency had come in this case so much sooner, because there were many of us that were trying to tell so many of you that the survivors did not call people over at 9 a.m., that the murders didn't take place at 2 a.m. or 3 a.m., that they did in fact take place after 4 a.m., and that the surviving roommates did not do anything wrong. Okay. Also, the bodies were not staged. They were not moved from outside. Okay. This took place within the house. So finally, the text messages are being released. And if you still want to insist that they called people over at 9 a.m. or that the murders took place at 2 a.m., please let Darwinism take over and drive off a frickin' bridge. Because the facts of the case are finally being confirmed little by little. And a whole lot of you have attacked these survivors for no reason at all. And it's disgusting. But let's take a look at these text messages. So at 2:10 in the morning, Dylan had sent a text message to the Uber driver. And then she was awake at texting from 2 a.m. But then there was nothing, no texts until 4:19:07. So from 4:19 in the morning till 4:21, she attempts to call Bethany, Xana, Kaylee, and Maddie. All calls went unanswered. The records of these calls are not hearsay, as they do not meet the definition of a statement. Oral assertion, written assertion, or nonverbal conduct intended as an assertion under IRE 801A. So from 4:22:08 to 4:24:27, Dylan and Bethany send the following messages. Dylan to Bethany, no one is answering. Dylan to Bethany, I'm really confused right now. Dylan to Kaylee, Kaylee. Dylan to Kaylee again, what's going on? Bethany to Dylan, yeah, dude, what the fuck? Bethany to Dylan, Xana was wearing all black. Dylan to Bethany, I'm freaking out right now. Dylan to Bethany, no, it's like a ski mask almost. Bethany to Dylan, STFU. Bethany to Dylan, actually. Dylan to Bethany, like he had something over his head and mouth. Dylan to Bethany, I'm not kidding, I am so freaked out. Bethany to Dylan, so am I. Dylan to Bethany, oh, my phone is gonna die, fuck. Bethany to Dylan, come to my room. Bethany to Dylan, run. Bethany to Dylan, down here. It says all of the above declarations are present sense impressions and excited utterances. This is supported by Dylan's grand jury testimony, where she indicates she just witnessed a startling event, i.e. heard noises in the residence and saw an unknown male in the residence. The declarations indicate both Bethany and Dylan are trying to make sense of the startling event contemporaneously or immediately following the startling event, i.e. no time for reflection or fabrication. See Dylan's grand jury testimony attached. Okay. Then at 4:24 a.m., Dylan calls Ethan Chapin, call unanswered. This phone record, like the other record of calls, is not a statement pursuant to IRE 801. Dylan and Bethany continue to text. At 4:24:58, Dylan texts Bethany, I'm scared though. And Bethany responds at 4:25, yeah, I know, but it's better than being alone. Again, both statements are admissible as present sense impressions and excited utterances as they are describing an event or their state of mind and are spontaneous reactions to that event rather than result of reflective thoughts. At 4:27:47, Dylan calls Kaylee, call unanswered. At 4:28:44, she calls Xana, call unanswered. These are not statements pursuant to IRE 801A. At 4:32:57, Dylan sends a text message to Kaylee stating, please answer. This statement is a present sense impression, and it shows Dylan's perception of events and an excited utterance, spontaneous reaction to that event rather than the result of reflective thought. The next morning, Dylan sends the following messages starting at 10:23. Dylan to Kaylee, please answer. Dylan to Mogan, are you up? Dylan to Kaylee, are you up? The text messages are not hearsay because they will not be introduced for the truth of the matter asserted. Even if deemed hearsay, they will be allowable as present sense impressions as they reflect on the consistency and continuation of Dylan's text messages from the night prior and reflect her then perception of what was occurring, i.e. waking up and realizing that she had not heard from her roommates. At 11:39:09, DM has a text exchange with her father. These statements are not hearsay as they will not be introduced for the truth of the matter asserted, but instead to show a timeline for the morning. At 11:55, Dylan receives a message from Jay stating, bro. This text message will not be introduced for the truth of the matter asserted. At 11:58, DM calls EA. I'm assuming that's Emily Allant. I'm also assuming Jay is Hunter Johnson. This phone record is not a statement pursuant to IRE 801. DM receives a text message from Jay at 11:51:01 and then the vandal alert at 1:04:01. These texts are not hearsay because they will not be introduced for the truth of the matter asserted, but instead to show a timeline for the morning. Dylan and Bethany's testimony contained in State's Exhibit 5.2 and Exhibit 5.3, so that's their grand jury testimony. The state anticipates that both will testify at trial. The state intends to ask each witness about statements made to them November 13th, 2022. This testimony should substantially replicate the testimony they provided at the grand jury proceedings. The state submits the statements from both Dylan and Bethany to each other are allowable hearsay because they are present sense impressions and or excited utterances. It says previous adjudication, Judge John Judge had previously ruled the text messages and statements of Dylan and Bethany are present sense impressions and excited utterances, holding that both the text messages and the testimony of Bethany as to what Dylan told her were admissible as exceptions to the hearsay rule. That was the sealed order denying the motion to dismiss the indictment on grounds of biased grand jury. But yeah, I had seen a lot of people thinking that this was to exclude their text messages, and I figured there was no way the prosecution was wanting to exclude them because it went to the timeline and then it went to what was going through their minds in the moment. And that's huge. That's important. And it's important that the jury understands what they were thinking, what was going through their minds, how frantic they were. So, again, if you can still read these documents and still think that the two survivors had something to do with this crime, or that timelines are not what have been stated in the official documents, and that this was a staged crime scene, I'm serious. Just drive off a fucking bridge, and I don't care. Report me to YouTube, do whatever you have to do, but I have no respect or patience for people like you.